The film begins 3 years before the main massacre. We see a young woman arriving at a lonely motel looking for a place to stay. There, she is greeted by the receptionist, who, with a strange smile, warns her that the town of Venus is so small it barely has 486 inhabitants. The receptionist hands her the key to room number 24. Once settled in her room, the silence is broken when someone begins to knock on the door insistently. The young woman walks slowly and looks through the peephole. Upon opening the door, she sees no one. However, while she washes her face trying to calm down, the door to her room begins to open slowly, and this happens. Shortly after, we see the young woman tied to a chair, and in front of her is Dollface. Without saying a word, the masked woman brutally stabs her. Meanwhile, in the background, two other masked figures kiss in a macabre act. Thus begins the nightmare of the strangers. Chapter 3. In the present, we see Maya hiding behind a tree, watching in horror as the masked man brings the axe down on Shelley's body and then takes it away in his car. Hours later, we see an exhausted and severely injured Maya arriving at a lonely church seeking refuge. Upon entering, she finds a piano, and as she tries to play, Gregory appears. At that moment, a terrifying dialogue takes place where Gregory confronts Maya for killing his partner. She tries to defend herself, saying it wasn't her intention, but Gregory coldly responds that they are even now because he also killed Ryan. It is here that Gregory asks a disturbing question about the Bible story, questioning why God allowed Cain to kill Abel and suggesting that perhaps God just wanted to watch. Upon hearing that, Maya quickly leaves the church. Meanwhile, Sheriff Rotter patrols the area. Suddenly, Maya appears, manages to get into the car, and desperately pleads for help. She tells him about the hell she has lived through, but as they speak, the sheriff's cold attitude and suspicious questions put her on alert. Maya tells him she needs a first aid kit for her hand, and as the sheriff gets out of the car, she takes the opportunity to steal the patrol car and escape at full speed. However, her nerves work against her. While trying to swerve around a vehicle on the road, she loses control and crashes violently into a tree. At that moment, the masked man appears and brutally pulls her out of the car, throwing her into the back of the truck before tying her up. It is here that we discover a dark secret. We see Sheriff Rotter remembering a murder trial from years ago, where it is revealed that Gregory is his own son. Even as a child, Gregory had already committed atrocious acts, having brutally killed a person while Shelley watched calmly. The sheriff used all his power and influence so the judge wouldn't send him to prison. In this memory, Sheriff Rotter coldly warns him that he has already had his first kill, but from now on, he is forbidden from touching the people of Venus. The sheriff has spent years covering up the massacres of his son and his partner Shelley, with the only condition being that their victims must only be passing tourists. Returning to the present of this massacre, we see the man in the mask taking Maya to the old sawmill. Once there, the masked man makes her watch as he disposes of Shelley's body by throwing it into a wood chipper. Then, he quickly knocks her out. Later, in a restaurant where the sheriff and his colleague are, Maya's sister Debbie appears, accompanied by her husband Howard and her bodyguard Marcus. They ask if anyone has seen a girl named Maya, but everyone remains silent and no one answers. Later, we see Maya's sister asking a restaurant employee named Annie if she knows anything about Maya. The employee only responds that all the information she needs about Maya is held by Sheriff Rotter and that she must follow him carefully. Minutes later, Maya's sister and her group follow Sheriff Rotter. At the morgue, the sheriff meets with his colleague Tommy Walters. The colleague has started to connect the dots and confesses that he knows Gregory is responsible for the disappearances, and that this time they have broken the rules by killing locals. Seeing that his secret is in danger, the sheriff shows his true nature and drives a screwdriver into his colleague's forehead to protect his son. Finally, Maya wakes up, and in that moment, the masked man approaches slowly, puts the old pin-up girl mask on her, and kisses her, as if she were part of his clan. Later, Debbie's group sees the sheriff dragging a bag that seems to have the silhouette of a body. The sheriff puts the bag in the trunk of his car and leaves. The group follows him quickly. At nightfall, the masked ones take Maya with them to a motel to look for new victims. Upon arrival, they locate a couple and force Maya to knock on their door, asking for Tamara. When the door does not open, the masked man breaks the door fiercely and begins to attack the couple. At that moment, the couple is tied to a chair, terrified before the masked ones. The masked man tries to break Maya's will, forcing her to kill the innocent people. Upon her refusal, the masked man murders the man. In that moment of chaos, Maya takes advantage of a distraction, grabs a machete, and brutally murders Dollface. The masked man, far from becoming enraged, reacts with a terrifying calm. He guides her with his hand, and the inevitable happens. Hours later, Debbie and her group arrive at a travel trailer after losing sight of the sheriff's car. Getting out of the car, they begin to investigate. The bodyguard, Marcus, tells them he will go investigate the surroundings and then return. Shortly after, Marcus finds an old house. As he walks through the house, Sheriff Rotter appears, who shoots him quickly, killing him instantly. When the masked ones arrive at the travel trailer, the masked man crashes his car against it to harm those inside. What follows is brutal. The masked man drags the body of his dead partner, Dollface, puts it in the car, and drives away from the place, leaving Maya free. Maya decides to go to the basement of the lair with a shotgun in her hand. She goes down cautiously, looks around, and continues moving inward. There, she finds Sheriff Rotter sitting quietly drinking, as if nothing had happened. Without a word and full of hate, Maya shoots him twice with a shotgun, ending the life of the main accomplice. She continues moving through the basement until she finds a room full of candles and photographs. While looking at the photos, the masked man enters the room. Maya tells him to take off his mask. After a few seconds of silence, he agrees and takes it off in front of her, confirming that he is Gregory. He believes he has created a connection with her after both having lost their loved ones. Gregory approaches and tries to convince her to be part of the masked ones. Maya pretends to accept that union, so he lets his guard down, and when he hugs her, this happens.
We're the same now.
Leaving the basement, we see an image that leaves us chilled. Maya walks away from the horror, but she is no longer the same woman who arrived in town. In her hand, she carries Gregory's mask as a trophy of her survival, making it clear that, although she managed to escape, a part of her stayed trapped in that hell forever. And that's how this bloody story ends. If you made it this far, don't forget to like and subscribe for more extreme summaries. Until next time.